Hello again, everyone. Let's carry on from where we left off. I've done a bit of work on the design of Oledium, the Oledium as it's being called here. So you remember last time we had a look at things like the attributes, such as what the hero or mob name was going to be called, and how many hit points, and so on. I think we also looked at the name of the monsters, or what types of monsters we might want to have, and there's our set there. What I've done as well, I've gone on to think about that we'll actually want to create specific classes here. So we'll have a class for the mob, a class for the non-player character, class for the hero, and so on. Over here, again, I think we mentioned the items, and I'm thinking that each of these, again, will be a class. What I imagine we'll have is, a whole set of different pieces of armour, different weapons. I say a whole set, obviously for this exercise. Maybe it's 2 or 3, right? But in a real game you might have hundreds. And you'll want a way to keep the data, or to define the data about these weapons. In fact, I've just realised each of these weapons will need to have a set of attributes, just like the people do. Okay, so we've got something else missing off here as well. That's fine. We can build it out as we go. We get the idea. So what I've got is highlighted a set of VBScript files that we'll need. So this inventory file, a class library, a background library, because again I imagine that we'll have a whole bunch of narrative kind of storyline text that we'll throw into, maybe it's or maybe there's a bunch here, maybe there's an introduction.vbs, a backstory.vbs, or maybe it's a text file. We need to learn how that works. So we will certainly have a file with background narrative information in. Here's our actions down here, and again I'm imagining these are collections of methods. They might be collections of subs and or methods. Again, we'll see what the implementation looks like as we get going. A help file of some kind, and what I'm going to call this means adventure. The adventure index file. So this is the main control file, and I think we'll probably start there. Though I've got a feeling we'll jump around to start writing code for whatever just makes sense to us. So okay, we can see then everything in blue is a potential class. There will be an inventory file that has a bunch of data, so about the 2 weapons, the 2 types of backpacks, the 3 different types of artifacts, and we should be able to then use that data and draw it in when, for example, if that was going to be unequip, wasn't it? So unequip. So when our hero finds something because they've searched and they decide to equip it, then we'll need to know, okay, you found the Sword of Doom. Okay, the Sword of Doom is a weapon, and here's the information about it. What else? Yeah, the other thing I thought was that we could have a character sheet produced. So you would have I don't show it on here. Let's add that, shall we? That's good. Character sheet produced, and probably a .text file. So we'll get the game to there you go, that's good. We'll leave that one out there for now. We'll get the game to create a character sheet, and again maybe we can practice importing character sheets if you had a new game but you played it on a different computer or something. Okay, so there we go. So let's have a look at creating some of these files. We'll start with the index. So let's open. It's interesting. Here we are, SkyTee. So Scintilla, this is the one I suggested you have a look at last time, and what we'll do then is we will go, we should create a kind of template, right? So how should we do this? Ad index.vbs. We should have an introduction. So this file is the main control file for the game. Okay, very well. And what? It controls the main flow of the game. You're calling game, calling methods, classes, etc. Right. And then we'll save this down as adindex.vbs. So let's have a look. Let's go to here and go to Oledium. We'll save it down there. Okay. So let's just try and create some kind of style here for our files. Let's do that, right? Okay. Now, what's the very first thing we're going to want to do in here is probably call all of the other files. Right, we're going to have to be able to call in, you know, this hero generator.vbs file, the help file, etc. So what we should do now, I don't actually know how VBScript calls in other files, so I'm going to kind of guess here. I'm just going to make this up. So call in, then what we'll have it is adventure hero generator VBS, right? So call in needs to be some kind of method, some kind of function. So got hero generator ad underscore help.vbs. So this is what we'll do. Wherever we don't know that this is correct. Oh dear, what's going on with these keys? I'll just put that. Right, so what else did we say we had? Index we've got, obviously. Right, inventory VBS. Calling ad underscore. Let's try and get a bit smarter with what we do. Right, ad underscore, what was it? Inventory.vbs class lib and method lib. Pointing at the screen, that doesn't help, does it? You can't see my finger. Ad, in fact I'll put that one there. Methods might not be a good word for VBScript, but that's fine for now. And background.vbs. So that's VBS. Excuse me. That's all of the files that we'll call in. So let's make sure we keep adding comments. So call in all the files for the game. Okay. Now obviously that's not going to work because call in VB. If we try to run this VBScript, we'll just get, what are you talking about? In fact, we can save this down. One thing that Scintilla SkyT has is this go, press F5. So if we hit F5 on the keyboard, obviously we'll say, what? Line 8, character 7. And we can view, somewhere, line numbers. So line 8, character 7. Oh, that's interesting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't believe for a second calling works. Line 9, character 7. Oh, no, okay, so it's probably looking for a method called calling, right? Yeah, okay, VBScript would accept that. It wouldn't be, wouldn't mean anything, it wouldn't do anything, but it would say, okay, you've got a function called calling, but I don't know what that is yet. Right, so we need to know how to call in, but they'll be the files that we'll call in. So I'll go and just kind of make these files at some point. Right, now the other thing I thought we need would be to have, I'm just going to divide areas up like this. So the other thing we would do is we'd have a kind of getting started area, sort of a section where there was a couple of prompt screens that said, "Hey, welcome to the Oledium, brave adventurer." Blah, 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 blah. Right. So we'd have. Well, hang on. What would we have? We'd have, say, welcome. Welcome message. Okay. So we could have a method called welcome message. Right. And if it was a method, it would be in ad_method lib.vbs. So here's a convention that we'll adopt. We will have this. We'll have a little suggestion of where this method lives, or in our case at the moment where we think it should live. So we'll have a welcome message, and the next thing that should happen is hero generate. Right, we should have a method that is generating the hero, and that would that live in the same place? No, because we've said we've got a file called AD hero generator. In this file, AD hero generator, I'm imagining there's a whole bunch of calling classes, data methods, etc. A kind of working file to generate the hero. And as we said before, the hero needs name and hit points and strength and stamina. He needs or he or she needs an inventory. So give a few backpacks, put some basic starting equipment in there. Maybe a few potions and stuff, and just get the sort of starting equipment for the hero to work with. Okay. So hero generate, these functions we're going to have to create. In fact, we can just get rid of that, can't we? Because we can have a function called calling. I'm saying function, it might be a method or a sub, we'll work that out. But we'll have call in. I'm not sure if I like that. Call file in. Let's be a bit more explicit. Right, so let's do that. Right. Okay, it'll be quicker just to type the word file. Right, so we call the file in. We run the welcome message, bunch of screens. We generate the hero. Sorry, that was AD hero generator.vbs. Let's get this right. And this is, what should we call this? So get what the hero's name and generate their stats, right? That's the starting stats. Okay. Okay. Maybe there's a better design process for this, but I will just... Right, I'll just crack on. Now the other one that we said, the other idea I had was, let's call it make character sheet. So, okay, where would that live? Well, I'll tell you what, we'll just have it as part of the overall file that creates, what is this doing? It creates the hero, right? So generate the character sheet. So this will be basically a file log, right? A log of the hero's name, the attributes, what equipment, maybe a list of mobs that they've attacked or something like that. Okay, you get the idea. What I'll do, I'll build this out and come back to it. Alright, see you in a sec.